You're listening to Easy Travels, an original podcast from Nexion Travel Group. Hello, everyone. My name's Chris, and I am joined by the one and only Coach Martin Mussey here at Nexion Travel Group Mobile Headquarters, somewhere in Earth's atmosphere, orbiting the planet like the International Space Station. Nexion is all around you. This is the inaugural episode of what we're calling the Easy Travels podcast, where we talk about all things travel industry. And Martin's here because he actually knows a whole lot about the travel industry, whereas I'm here primarily because I happen to own a microphone. So with that, Coach Martin, would you care to introduce yourself?
Oh, yes. Hey, everyone. This is Coach Martin Mussey, and be careful of the power of the microphone, huh, Chris? I'm so very glad to get this inaugural podcast off the ground and started with my partner, Chris. As you hear the introduction, Coach Martin, you might wonder how Coach Martin. It's something that I've had for a while now because prior to being a part of Nexion, now almost 8 years. Prior to that, I was a business coach owning my own global franchise. As a business coach, in terms of marketing, that just stuck. I became a Coach Martin. So I'm forever Coach Martin.
So you have a lot of reasons to be here.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So give us a quick rundown of what Nexion Travel Group is and the function of a host agency.
Yeah, it's a really good question. So let's kind of break it down a little bit. First off, Nexion Travel Group is one of the leading host agencies in the travel industry. And we're not saying that just because we work here. I talk to lots and lots of brand new advisors in this industry, and they've done a ton of research. And one of the things that I continue to hear, I'm sure other host agencies hear it as well, but if they have researched and looked into 2, 3, 4 different host agencies, they continue to come back to us. Here at Nexion Travel Group, what we really do is provide independent travel advisors with lots of tools, resources, and support that they need to run a successful business. And that's the key, successful business. Now, what exactly does a host agency do? I like to think of it a little bit of the backbone for independent travel agents, which means that they're running their own business. They're, an independent contractor in our agency. But for them, being a part of us, it provides access to booking systems, supplier relationships, marketing tools, training, even commission negotiation power that individual agents, if you just went out and started your own business, you might not be able to get that on your own. So instead of working under traditional travel agency, those that are affiliated with Nexion as a host agency can operate their own businesses while still benefiting from our infrastructure and support. So what does that mean for travel advisors? It's freedom, a whole lot less overhead if you went out and started to run your own business, and really a strong network to back them up. For clients that they bring into their business, it means working with really knowledgeable, well-supported advisors who have access to things that may not even be out there available to the public. Lots of things that are available to the public, but you get personalized service and insider perks and all of that. And we call that a win-win.
So what are some of the common myths about host agencies? Are they just for new advisors? So coming at it from different perspectives, if I'm a new advisor, maybe looking for a host agency, or if I've been in the industry for years, but just never felt like belonging to one, what would be the different advantages there?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, I think we need to bust a few myths. One of the number one myths is kind of where you started, Chris, and that's that host agencies are just for newbies. And no, they're not. While they are a great start for new advisors, there are plenty of experienced agents, advisors out there that can benefit from partnering with a host agency like Nexion because of higher commission rates, supplier relationships, and the back office support. So no, myth number one, not just for newbies, for sure. I think a second myth is, will I lose my independence? It's not true. It depends on how you approach it and what you do, because you're still running your own travel business. It is yours. I think one of the myths is we're going to come in, we're going to tell you exactly what to do and how to do it. And actually the opposite is quite true. So you are in a position to set your own hours, choose your own niche, specialty, decide which suppliers to work with. So really, a host agency is more just like a powerful support system. I feel like we've been saying that a bit. We're not the boss. Matter of fact, from a legal perspective, as a matter of fact, you are an independent advisor. We can't tell you what to do, which interestingly enough, when I coach people can be a little bit frustrating at the beginning for some people. And the last thing I'm going to cover, Chris, is a third myth I think that's out there. And that is, I can't make real money as a hosted advisor. That's a big myth, and that's false because many independent travel advisors actually earn six figures, believe it or not.
Wow.
Now, I'm not sitting here telling you, oh, out of the gate, you're going to make it. I mean, there's a lot of work and effort that goes into six-figure earners, but the top earners, what they're doing is they're leveraging our resources to scale their business even higher, working smarter, not harder. So, at the end of the day, host agency is what you make it. It's a tool. It's not a limitation. And as long as you bring your passion and what it is that you want to do and focus and drive and determination, whether that's part-time or full-time, I think that's another myth. To make that kind of money, I got to do this full-time. You don't. You could do it part-time, but you have to be focused. And we're here to provide the structure to help people thrive.
It's interesting, before I get on to the next question, I wanted to ask you, I probably should have asked you this from the beginning, but we're talking about people who are maybe new to the industry or experienced in the industry. But what about someone who hasn't even taken that first step yet, someone who's thinking about starting a career in the travel industry? So one of the common things that we hear working in this industry that we're in is, do travel agents still exist? Do I still need a travel agent in this day and age, or a travel advisor? Can't I just use the internet? And here at Nexion, we talk a lot about the value of the agent and what the travel advisor really brings and what they offer. But can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I sure can. It is, one of the common things that when I focus on new to the industry advisors, they did the research at the beginning. They really looked at all the options and opportunities because they were passionate about getting into this business. This is an interesting notion. When people get into this business to become a travel advisor, one of the first questions I ask them, Chris, at the beginning of business coaching is, did you previously use a travel advisor? Because in answering that question, do travel agents exist? Do travel advisors exist? Which is the newer language today. In trying to build a business, new advisors, that question I ask them makes them pause and go, oh no, I booked a lot of travel on my own. So I tell them one of the first things they're going to have to tackle is being able to address the value proposition of what it is they bring to the table, convincing others who wonder, do travel advisors really exist? So they're still around, and they do, the public knows them as travel agents. Let's not kid ourselves. When they're asking that question, it's actually the responsibility of the travel professional, even the new person, to have to tackle that and be prepared to answer that question. And it does begin with, well, what did you do? Did you ever use a travel agent yourself? No, I was just really my own good travel advisor, travel agent. I did the research. I did all the booking. I did all my family's stuff. They looked to me. All right. So now how are you going to convince them that they should work with a travel agent when you yourself have never worked with them? And the easy answer to that is it's because they put their almost blood, sweat, and tears even before they ever became a travel advisor officially, to do a ton of research, do a ton of digging into travel planning and itinerary planning and destinations, because that's just what they love to do. And there's people out there who don't have time to do that. So that's their value proposition. And in reality, the value proposition to convince them of is it's them. They are the value in their own agency because of their passion, their drive, their love of just planning and researching and helping people go explore the world.
Talk about Nexion's human touch and what makes us a people company. So when you call Nexion for support, are you going to get an automated robot voice, or are we a little bit different than that?
We're not. And we're not a robot. You're absolutely going to get the human touch. And I'm going to take a moment to step back here because I think this is a good segue into a perfect example of the human touch here at Nexion. This is going to speak to a little bit of the beginning of this podcast that you and I are doing here, Chris. The name of this podcast, Easy Travels. Well, we can thank one of our vice presidents here at Nexion, Heather Kindred.
Thanks, Heather.
Yeah, thank you, Heather, because we decided to name this podcast Easy Travels because of something that she brought to it. And Heather will get on stage or in a webinar or talking with other travel advisors. And this goes to that human touch. And one of the first things she's known for is saying to everyone, hello, beautiful Nexion travel advisors. She's just known for that. And they almost expect it from her. And so at a most recent conference, in addition to just within our own team, she really started this, but she got to really launch this idea at our last international conference last year, where she said, you know what? No, when people travel, we have that interesting exchange where we go, okay, well, safe travels to you, safe travels. You know, she began saying, and she got to say it from the stage to people and really started a movement here at Nexion that said, you know, no, it's not safe travels. We don't have any control over steering the boat, the plane, the whatever. So what we wish you is easy travels, stress-free as possible, that you get to your destination on time. Because what do we know in travel? Hey, pack your patience. You know things are going to happen. And so in the process, even when things like that happen, what she's saying there is have easy travels, you know, for yourself. And to me, that is the beginning, a good way to talk about the human touch here. We make it real. It's all about that. You know, not just our department. I'm sure you hear it as well, Chris, and I'd love to get your thoughts on it, what you hear, be it at conference, be it at events, be it just overall. We hear people time and time again, our member advisors say, Nexion feels like family. And I think that's really true. We just have that process where we're just really connected in listening to one another, listening to our advisors, and we want you to be as successful as you can be. Your success is our success. And we know why a lot of people do this, but we try to get to the human level. That's what I try to do as a coach. I mean, what is in it for you for having a successful business? That's what you want to go for. Your life is happening at the same time you do it. So we take that into consideration, is my point. Here at Nexion, we are, you know, understanding that life is going on at the same time that you're trying to build a business that serves your life for the purposes you need.
Yeah. To really understand what you're talking about here, you have to have experienced at least one Nexion event in person. And I thankfully have experienced several now. But
yeah,
I remember the first time I ever went to one, you know, it was a work event. It was a work conference for me, obviously. But I got there and it felt like a reunion. It felt like a bunch of old friends getting back together and having a good time. And it was very familial, exactly as you described. So could you give me a brief rundown of some of Nexion's other events and your role there as the coach?
Yeah, I'm going to focus on the events and then remind me, come back to my role as coach. Okay. Sure. Because there's a lot that we do in terms of events. And the way that I'm going to break it down is, you know, just as we do in our focus with advisors, is that we are looking at events from a couple of perspectives, and we do a lot of different things, and I'll go through some of them. But the overarching theme of our events is to provide some events that we call essential events, right? They're essential to your understanding of this business, understanding of travel. So that's almost like the basics, the essentials, if you will. And then we have specialty events. Those specialty events are very focused on either a specific area of travel that might be a niche area. So some examples of that is our luxury sales summit. If you're focused on luxury sales, it really brings you to an event where you get to be hyper-focused on that, as well as meet the preferred partners, our supplier partners that are inside of that niche, that specialty. And it's very rare that you get to meet that many suppliers and hear from them and understand their products in depth. So that's something we do. In addition, we have group sales summits. So if group sales is something you're focused on. And brand new this year, Chris, in 2025, we introduced a new specialty event, the cruise sales summit. Cruises such a big part of the market. It's almost shocking to think we didn't have one of those before, but we're doing that for the first time this year. And then near and dear to my heart is, in addition to all this, I want people to put the pieces together. So I have what's called a business planning mastermind. I'll almost call it a business success mastermind. And we do two versions of that. One is marketing and sales, and the other one is the business planning itself. And it's a higher level specialty event on being focused on your business. And then I'd be remiss if I did not mention, obviously, our big international conference, international because we were part of also Nexion Canada and Nexion US, and we have some contingency down in Central America and Mexico. It's a gathering of everybody. I think this coming year, we have at least 540 advisors attending. Once you put suppliers and staff, us in the mix, we were close to 700 and 800 attendees at this event. And as you said, that's the event. Lots of them are like little mini reunions where they're a little more intimate. But this big event it's huge. It's a big party. It's fun. It's festive, educational. And this year, talk about fun. We're going to be at Epic Universe, not just that, Universal Orlando Resort, all the fun that is to be had there in Universal Orlando Resort. The big one is the opening of Epic this year. But we provide all kinds of variety of events. And yes, some of those costs, but some of them are free to our advisors, where we do one day kind of roadshow where we just go around the country to a variety of locations and meet and greet with advisors where they're at, closer to home, and they get the opportunity for updates from us, and again, interaction with our preferred partners. So lots of really good opportunities for events across the board.
Looking forward to them. All right, Martin, I have one more very important question for you. It's kind of a personal question, but just to, get to know you better, get to know us better as the host of this podcast. Very important question. If you were an episode of television, one single episode of one single show, what episode would you be?
An episode of a show.
I'll say mine first to give you a second to think about it. I would be the Christmas episode of The X-Files from I think season 5, so late 90s.
Wow, that is like deep cut there, Chris. So tell me more about that. Well, how and why do you identify with that?
It's just a really deep and funny and charming, dive into the psychologies of two different people. One is a skeptic, one is a believer, and how they complement each other. I feel like, in life, you need that. You need people who complement you and who are different from you, who can call you out on your flaws.
Yeah.
It's also just a great feel-good episode.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. I probably am not going to be able to pinpoint the exact episode and the exact season, because actually what I'm going to give you, and this has been said, and the point of the question, I think, Chris, was to get to know us a little bit better.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you something from television, but it goes way back. So I'm going to age myself a little bit. But those who identify, and if you're listening to this and you don't know what I'm talking about, go look it up. YouTube, anything, I promise you. But I do come from a background in the arts. I've been doing theater all my life, really from middle school on. And one of the things that has been said about me, and I think this happens both professionally and personally, and sometimes with the personas that I have, even when I'm on stage presenting or I'm playing host at CoNexion or whatever, is I'm going to go to any given episodes of the Carol Burnett show. And in the Carol Burnett show, or in that cast, I am not a Harvey Korman, if you know that, but do you know the show as I'm saying this?
I know this is like an obnoxious young person thing to say, but my mom used to watch the Carol Burnett show, and that's all I know about it.
So Tim Conway was a classic comedian and comic, and not just because he was funny, but his physical thing. And he had a number of characters that his job was just to be funny. I mean, he was just funny, but he was so funny that he would crack people up on stage. So the Carol Burnett show is known also for many of their bloopers, where people would just be on national television, just breaking character. right? And you think of your funniest episodes that you love of Saturday Night Live, maybe the best sketches are the ones where they're making each other laugh sometimes because they themselves find themselves funny. But yeah, go look up some episodes of Tim Conway, specifically either his old man scooting around or the dentist who accidentally puts the numbing medicine into his own arm and then can't, help his patient because he's flailing around. Now, I'm not a flail around kind of person, but I know physical comedy. I know timing. And, I bring those elements into my interactions with people, into coaching, into my stage persona. So that would be me.
I love it. Yeah. Well, thank you, Martin. This has been wonderful. And for all of you listening, wherever your adventures take you,
we wish you easy travels.
Easy travels. Take care, everyone. Thanks.
See you next time.